Welcome to the Insurance Brokers Podcast, Helpful Hints. Here we break down the best, most informative bits of our full-length interviews.
What is actually going on in the world, the pandemic, the hardening market, how it's going to affect us, and your thoughts, I suppose, around MGAs and brokers and insurers and how they can be collaborating really to support the end client.
A wide sort of topic and subject. So if I reverse back to sort of the first lockdown in sort of March, and I look across the categories across our industry, I think first of all, MGAs really proved their worth in terms of their ability to be nimble, sort of show innovation, and really just continue sort of to trade with their broker partners, obviously on a remote basis. Because, you know, the very nature and DNA of an MGA is their ability to adapt very quickly to sort of changing market and customer conditions. And they've continued on that vein. And sort of our sort of 150 members, you know, I've spoken to have sort of been very pleased in terms of how their businesses continue to sort of operate and being both successful in terms of retention levels and sort of new business. I think brokers also have that great adaptability and nimbleness. You know, some of the larger sort of brokers, you know, have bigger challenges because they're very close to sort of being corporate sort of operations, but they adapted. And I think, to be fair to the insurers who are probably in this phase, you know, the biggest ships, you know, some of those managed to turn those ships relatively quickly. Others sort of struggled. And I think they would concede they'd struggled in that first sort of lockdown. But I believe that they're probably at the right position now, albeit sort of 10, 11 months on, whereas the market has sort of reset itself into a pandemic type world. And obviously, hopefully, you know, the market again is now looking post-pandemic, you know, once the vaccines are sort of rolled out. And on that theme, there will be a new reset across the industry. You know, I don't believe in any shape or form that everyone will go back 5 days a week in the office. I don't see that happening. I think there'll be a nature of sort of 3 and 2 or maybe 4 and 1. And I think it'll be very, very interesting, Sarah, to see how the sort of, you know, the beloved sort of square mile in the city stroke Lloyds, you know, what that looks like. Because as we all know, there's a complete ecosystem sort of, you know, dependent on, you know, how it was previously, you know, just even local businesses, which obviously have suffered, you know, without sort of having that footfall and that square mile sort of operating in its traditional way. And it's not easy to predict, you know, in terms of how that will look, you know, sort of post-pandemic and whether it does reset back to what it was before. I think that's extremely unlikely. And I think it will be a blended sort of new ecosystem, sort of reflecting how businesses have managed to operate and be very productive, you know, in this last sort of 11, sort of 12 months of a lockdown.
Yeah, I think just to pick up on a few things you've said there, I did a podcast last year with Ian Lloyd of iPrism, and we coined the term nimbility, which I think should absolutely be make its way into the English dictionary.
Agreed.
The nimbility of brokers and the smaller MGAs and smaller brokers I think has been really key during this last year's craziness.